And welcome back to the Quirk Creation series. I've done Ichigo. In fact, I think I've done Ichigo and maybe one other Bleach character. Aizen. Maybe it was Aizen I did. I know I've done at least one other Bleach character. But we're here now with Ichigo's frenemy, as he's sometimes been. But overall, he's his friend. But technically, his antithesis as a main character. The Quincy side of things, Uryu Ishida. Oh, Ishida. Sorry. Now, the Quincy as a whole, it's like with Shinigami, I could do, or actually I should say more or less, it's like the Sharingan. I could theoretically give any Uchiha-based character the Sharingan for their quirk and basically explain it off like, oh, they all have it. It's just when it awakens, it turns into this Mangekyo, so forth and so on, with unique abilities for all of them. I considered doing that, but I'm like, no, because we are dealing with specific Quincy, particularly the Stern Ritter. They all have a unique ability to them, a shrift that's corresponding to a letter of the alphabet. Uryu is no exception to this. His is the letter A for the antithesis. And so there was really no clever way I could convert the base Quincy abilities of, like, let's say, like an ambient energy absorption ability, Reishi arrows, super speed, Blute, which was defensive, armor, or hardening the skin, so forth and so on. All those abilities. There's no real way I could include that and include their shrift. So really, we are going to look mostly at their shrifts when we're dealing with, like, the Quincy characters. Uryu's, as I said, is called the antithesis. Now, first and foremost, what would Uryu, I want to just get at this out of the way, what would his hero name be? Because he would probably aim to be a hero over a villain, obviously. Despite his alleged turn in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. No, that's not actually the case. He is a good guy. But what actually is, what would his hero name be? I could see him doing something like the Holy Archer, or something to do with like the color white, the white arrow, or something akin to that. Although, because he doesn't have arrow abilities in this version of him, he might be something more like, I don't know exactly what the hero name would really be for a character like him with his abilities. I could see maybe just going by his quirk's name, honestly, Antithesis. Which, let's talk about the Antithesis, because this is actually kind of a busted ability. Now, we only see it really once in the manga itself, but with the anime extending things out, giving us more detail, we are starting to see it in more capacity within the anime. Particularly when we saw it with the fight with the Royal Guard in the Cage of Life. What the base ability is, and I'll go into more detail about the more complexities of it, is that it takes 2 points and it takes 2 objects and it switches. Or there's 2 points and it switches what's happened there. Now, the base effect of this, as we kind of see, is it can just take 2 objects and trade places with them, and it's instant. It's an instantaneous switch. Almost like teleporting with those objects. And as a quirk, I feel like that would be essentially the baseline ability of this quirk. This would be the ability that when he started out, he had. Just the ability to take 2 objects and switch their places. Excuse me, I'm just clearing my throat. I got like a little bit of gunk stuck in there. So yeah, that'd be the base ability. Now, right out the gate, what would be the weaknesses of this? I think an inherent weakness of this quirk has to be he has to see the 2 things he's switching, or at least know the 2 things he's switching. Because he can switch himself in something else. He's not necessarily looking at himself. That's an instinctual kind of thing. He knows where he is. He can't turn around. He can't just turn around on something and then just switch places with it if he can't see what he's switching things with, basically. Excuse me. If there's someone behind him, for example, he can, even though he can sense where they are, or he senses that they're behind him, if he can't pinpoint their exact location, he can't do the switch. So I think that is a big thing. Also, I would imagine he can't do this ability rapid fire because it could be very mentally disorientating, that kind of ability, if you're not careful. So that would be the baseline ability of this. But the quirk is but the ability of the antithesis is a lot more than that, because it's not solely trading swapping 2 objects. It's way more than, it's actually swapping the effects on 2 different points. And this is made very evident in the actual manga time we see the fight, where Uryu is heavily injured in his fight with Hashwal, and he activates the Antithesis, and all of his wounds are gone, instantly healed up, and are transferred over to Hashwal. Or Hashwal, I think it is. Either way, Hashwal. Jungrim. Sternor B. That, he literally can swap the effects of things that have happened. He doesn't even have to do this on a person. Let's say he's heavily injured. He can look at a rock and swap the effects of what happened to him and the rock. He's perfectly fine. The rock suddenly gets all these giant cuts on it. And so it's one of those things where, yeah, you can literally swap the 2 different effects out in an instant. In theory, Uryu could swap the effects of individuals who have, say, like clad type Bankais or Zanpakuto, like Ichigo's Tensa Zangetsu, at least the original version. Hitsugaya's Hyorin Maro, which covers him in ice, and or even Yamamoto. Hypothetically, I don't think a lot of people seem to think Uryu could beat Yamamoto. That's very cute, but unfortunately, unless Yamamoto's letting him live long enough to, say, swap some of the injuries he gets in that fight, yeah, and it has to be life-threatening to Yamamoto, too. Uryu loses an arm, he swaps that effect. We know for a fact Yamamoto could continue going without an arm, because he did it, no problem. I don't see how people quite grasp the... I don't understand how people think he could actually beat Yamamoto, save for, like, life-threatening injuries. And even then, the types of injuries someone could sustain do not equate to a life-threatening injury to someone else. But regardless, yeah, Uryu, in theory, can just reverse any effect he wants and just do what he needs to do. He can theoretically get himself out of any sort of prison, which is what we're theorizing is how he's going to get out of the sealed Bankai of Senjumaru that he got placed in. That's at least what we theorize how he's going to get out. Or how the shoot stuff are going to get out. But, yeah, in theory, he can reverse any effects or swap. It's a reverse / swap. It's trading states of being, I guess is the best way to put it. And so, yeah, once the Bankai evolves, once the Quirk evolves, that would be the effects of the Quirk. Granted, with all the same weaknesses that this Quirk would have. In fact, this would be a Quirk, one of the only Quirks that would be a perfect type of counter to, say, Shigaraki's decay. Because if Uryu starts to decay and it gets to the point where he's about to die, well, then he just trades the effect off with Shigaraki and he's good to go. It's like, sorry. And then Shigaraki's just like, and just starts, decaying himself. So, yeah, it'd be a perfect counter to quirks like that. Absolutely. Either way, though, that is just my thoughts. This is the quirk for Uryu Ishida. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you like this quirk? Do you hate this quirk? What would you do differently if you were to do a different quirk? Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.